Hey friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade Not Hallmark. Today I've got two fun, clean and simple cards featuring some new products from my favorite things. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So I was inspired by this paper pack that I got quite a while ago, and I really loved the different colors, and I've kind of been on this abstract artistic kick, I guess you could say. I've been really inspired by different things like that. So I wanted to pick up this stamp set from my favorite thing. It's the Artistic Prints. And I think this is such a versatile set that you can do so many different things, and you can use it for any season, any occasion, or anything along those lines. So I was inspired by these two pieces of pattern paper here, and I picked out some distress oxide inks that kind of went along with the color choices in these pattern papers. And I really like this set because it's really, you kind of can just make it anything that you want. You can line up these different shapes and make, anything. And I really love the idea that there's no set way to use this. This is all just whatever you can think of, wherever your mind takes you. You can, do something simple like I did here. You can do some embossing with some other images inside of these squares, which is another idea that I have. You could do a whole background, kind of like the watercolor piece I did. You can do something similar to this. So if you're not a watercolorer, or you don't have anything like that, or it's not something that you enjoy doing, you could do something like this and do something along the same lines, except doing it with stamping and ink. Now I really wanted to try this with dye inks, but I don't have any dye inks. All I have is my Distress Oxide, so it was a little bit of a longer process because I had to wait for these inks to dry before I could do any embossing. But any inks that you have will work out just fine. So all I'm doing is I'm just picking out some shapes and stamping down the colors that I chose. I didn't really have a thought process behind how I wanted to lay these out. I know I only wanted to use 3 shapes and then 1 of the lined images. So 4 altogether, but 3 solid shapes and 1 of the lined shapes that come in this set. And I just wanted to keep it nice and simple and clean, which is kind of what I was going for. So I'm going to speed this process up a little bit here. It's just some repetitive stamping. I'm just adding in the different shapes and the colors that match with the pattern paper.
Wonder if you think about me like I think of you. Wonder if you dream the way I do. When you look at clouds, do you see faces as I do? Do you get caught by your own thoughts like I do? Wonder what would happen if I showed these words to you. Wonder if you laugh at my simple poetry. Or even worse, would you look at me with pity in your eyes, saying I'm great and that you would like to be my friend? 'Cause you my heart just can't ignore, that I've never felt before. And if you go, I wanna go there with you.
While those are off drying, I'm working on my greetings. I've got the Miss You die from Simon Says Stamp. I recently picked this up because I thought I had it in my stash, and I went through and I looked, and I didn't. And I don't know if I misplaced it or if it, went in with a D-stash or, anything. I have no idea where it went. Anyway, so I just went and picked it up again, and I really like these simple small dies that go really well with kind of a clean and simple card. So I just have taken some scraps of white cardstock and stacked them up, and I'm using that same kind of champagne gold cardstock that I've been using in my cards recently. I've just become kind of obsessed with it. I really like the color. I love that it's kind of not a flashy gold. It's more of a muted gold, and it goes really well with just about anything. So I'm just stacking those up 3 high just to get some dimension. You guys know this by now, that this is my favorite way to do word dies. And I just love the simplicity of these. They're so easy to use, and they're really inexpensive as well. I think they're, I'm not sure, but I'll make sure everything's linked in the description below. It's been kind of a rough couple of days for me and my family. We recently had to put our older dog to sleep. He was really sick, and we just felt it was time for him, and so it's been kind of hard to feel creative. I know I just got back into it, but now I'm kind of sad, but I do miss him, and he was such a sweet boy. But we're getting through it. We have another dog that we have to kind of help him through the grieving process as well. So back to the card here. This is somewhat dry at this point. There's just a little bit of sticking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit it with my heat gun a little bit longer, and I think it'll be just fine. I wanted to add some more gold to this card, and I really like the idea of the thin lines of stamping that you can add. It adds some more interest and texture to the card itself. So I hit that with my heat gun just to make sure that it was nice and dry, and it worked out perfectly. Just a little bit of spots that stick, but nothing that can't be brushed away. And since I'm going to be using some anti-static powder, I won't have to worry about too much of that embossing powder going where I don't like. Going to be using some Versamark ink here to stamp this down, and I'm also going to be using some Simon Says Antique Gold Embossing Powder. It's been kind of my go-to embossing powder for a little bit now, and I really love it with this color combination, with both of these color combinations, and with the gold I'm using on my greeting. They go really well together, and I love adding it. I think it would be really pretty in like a silver as well. I really have some really fun ideas with this set for the holidays. I know I'm talking about Christmas and in the holidays and stuff like that, but I do my Christmas in July series, so I try to brainstorm some things in advance. And I was in Hobby Lobby the other day, and I saw fall stuff already, and I'm like, I love the seasons and I love the holidays, but it is way too early for that. We haven't even made it to Labor Day yet, or not Labor Day, excuse me. We haven't even made it to Memorial Day. So as much as I love the holidays and I try to come up with some ideas and brainstorm and think of things for the rest of the year, but that's a bit too early for me. But I do have some really great ideas for all of this. Gonna get this one nice and dried, make sure, and you can see on the back that I had pre-stamped some stuff ahead of time, and I didn't really like the way that it turned out, so I just flipped the cardstock over and tried stamping again, and I like the way that this layout turned out better. They're really similar. I definitely wanted to stick with just 3 of these organic shapes on each card. It's just a personal preference. I like odd numbers when it comes to things, so doing that. And then I love how you can just kind of play around with the way that they're shaped. There's no right or wrong way. So I loved all of this. And I saw a card, I think it might have been on Instagram, where somebody had done something like this, and then they took little die cut flowers and they put it on the lined portion to make it look like a wreath. I thought that was really cool and really fun idea. So that's another idea. Or you could freehand draw in, or if you have some stamps, you could add some leaves and things like that, which I think would be really cool. I really think silver would look nice with this blue, but again, I was going with the gold tones, and I felt like because the pattern paper looked like it had gold in it as well, that's why I wanted to use the gold. So again, you can do it however you like. If you don't like the gold, leave the gold off, anything like that. I just loved how these turned out. I thought they were really fun and different and unique, and I'm trying to jump outside of my comfort zone a little bit. I have a tendency to try to like overthink cards and want to do everything, all the techniques, all the time. But I found recently that simpler is better for me, and I have tried it in the past. I've tried really hard to keep things simple and not go overboard, but I felt like I had to do everything that everybody else was doing. Like, I saw all these other creators doing all of these really elaborate, cool things, and they looked really neat, and then I go back and I'd watch them again and be like, they really didn't do that much. Like, it really wasn't overly complicated. They didn't used a ton of products. They just used one or two things. And so that's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, I'm trying to minimize my brain. I don't know if that's something that you can do, but I'm trying to kind of cut back on my overthinking and just simplify stuff, kind of go with my gut instinct and roll with it. Next, I took a greeting from the Stronger Together stamp set from Simon Says. This is another kind of go-to set as the moment. I've been having a lot of fun with it, got some really good ideas, and I love all of the greetings in it. And I just wanted to stamp something on the inside, dreaming of when we will be together again, which I think was a really nice greeting. Again, it kind of goes along with the mood I was in because I missed my dog. So I was in a miss you, thinking of you kind of mood. So that's where these cards came in. So, and I'm just using some of the oxide inks that I used in the actual fronts of the cards just to kind of bring it all together, keep it kind of cohesive. And I apologize if it's a little bit out of focus. I was kind of having a hard time getting my camera to keep focusing on the different changes, but I got it to work out in the end. So I'm going to get my station all cleaned up here and actually get my cards assembled. I have all the parts and pieces ready to go. Now I can get it all put together. This is one of my favorite things about card making is once you have all of your elements ready, then you start to build the card and your idea really starts to come together. And that's my favorite part. Not so much adding the embellishments or the finishing touches, but whenever you have that idea in your mind and you get all the pieces together and you start seeing it really come to life, that's my favorite part. Gonna add some foam adhesive here on the back of these panels and pop them up. I really do like these pattern papers. I think I've used them in the past, but I recently went through and kind of cleaned out my cleaned out my craft space and kind of went through everything and rediscovered these, and I thought, ooh, I think these would be great with this stamp set. Lots of really nice color choices in here too. Lots of rainbows and real kind of moody colors I think would be nice for like a really nice masculine card. Adding that foam tape on the back of this one. Get that adhered. This one almost has more purple undertones to it than blue, so I was kind of having a hard time getting colors to match. And like I mentioned before, I don't have any dye inks. I'm planning on getting some. I just haven't made it to that point yet. I really would like to try to get the positively saturated inks, but I haven't ventured to that point in my crafting where I want to spend that, but I'm going to save and try to get to it. So I'm going to try my best to save up and get some dye inks because I think this process would go a little bit faster if I had dye inks, and I think I have more choices with colors because they have the different shades, which I think will work well with these because you could make a whole set of cards with the 3 different shades that come in each of those color sets with the positively saturated inks. I think would be really cool. Just using some liquid glue to attach the whole bases down there. And I'm going to get my sentiment adhered, just going to adhere it nice and flat. And I wanted them to be kind of offset from each other, kind of go with the whimsy like my last couple of cards have been. I didn't want anything nice and perfect right in the center of the card or, you know, those sorts of things, but I wanted to make sure that they were nice and straight. So I got my T-square ruler out. I love this tool. I always forget that I have it, and then whenever I do use it, I'm always so thankful that I do because I don't adhere something down and I go out and show my husband and he's like, hey, that's crooked. And I freak out a little bit. But I'm glad that I've got this T-square roll. It really helps me out. Get that adhered. Let that sit there and dry. Really love the way that these turned out. And I'm having a lot of fun getting back into crafting, you know, going through and cleaning my space and looking through
my stamp sets and things really has helped me kind of brainstorm some ideas, helped kind of get the creative juices flowing, you know. So I've got a couple of cards coming up that I'm really excited about. I haven't done them. Again, I'm going to try to keep them simple. I'm not going to try to go too overboard. And I think they're going to come together really nicely. Next, I wanted to add just a little bit more of embellishments. I felt like they were a little bit kind of not so much off center, but unbalanced, I guess you could say. So I went in with these honeybee holiday pearl stickers. I know that they're holiday ones, but the gold in here matched really well with everything. So I felt like they were a perfect fit for these cards. And just, they already have adhesive on the back. And then I realized I forgot to put the dot on the top of my eyes. And I already had all of those cut out in a little dish here. And I apologize if my head gets in the way, but I had to get right over top to make sure I got those lined up. So all I'm doing is, because I die cut the dice 3 times, I just stacked up those on top of each other. And that's so much easier than trying to hold or hold on to them while you stack them up. And I've got my little crystal katana here help me out. I got a new tip on the end of it and it works out beautifully. I haven't really had any issues with it not wanting to pick anything up. And the final piece is the gold. And then I can finish adding in my embellishments. Get those last couple on there. And that will finish up these 2 cards for today. I really hope you enjoyed watching me create these 2 abstract cards with some MFT products. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate you all stopping by and watching my content. It really helps build the community and the channel and my opportunity to bring these to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.